What is going on, guys? It is Zigzag here. Welcome back to another GeoGuessr video. So today we are back on the road to getting another world record. My first one was the 10-second no moving, panning, or zooming category, and now I am going for a skewed world. And the map itself is very difficult because you're always pointing away from the road. So I actually got really close to the record sheet today. The record as it stands on the sheets is 16. Someone got a 20 but didn't submit it as well, so it's really 21 to get the world record. But then all you need is 14. It's a very low streak, really, all things considered, to get onto the leaderboards here. And so that is why I almost managed today. I got a 12. So that's coming at the end of the video. In the meantime, I'm going to show you some other insane guesses and great attempts. And yeah, it's going to be a good one. Stay tuned because I think I'm getting really close to this record. And if it's not soon, I'm going to be disappointed in myself. I think I'm going to get it soon. But anyway, so I've just compiled a whole bunch of the best attempts I had today or over the last week or so. And here they are. So basically only the cream of the crop in this video. I had to cut a lot of good footage. First one here, these kind of poles with this kind of top, I generally associate with Slovakia and Czechia. It's just something I've worked out myself, so I'm actually not sure what the proper knowledge is to do with it. But when it comes to this landscape, it generally looked quite Ukrainian, so that's what I was thinking here. So I end up going Slovakia right on the Ukrainian border here, and let's see how it ends up being. Just 11 kilometers away, essentially in the nearest town, so a really insane guess to start off the video. Okay, so the next one was interesting. Interesting double, like, guardrails here, and we obviously have these yellow and black chevrons, meaning we're probably somewhere in the Americas, if not Asia. So I could see these, like, kind of dry-ish rolling hills in the background. Spent a while thinking about it. Also, this kind of a gutter here, this kind of concrete gutter is more typical of Latin America, I would say. Places where you get more rainfall. So I end up opting for, I think I go for Ecuador here. I think a lot of the time you do get these like kind of double chevrons where there's one connected to the other in Ecuador. That tends to be a country that does that quite a bit. So I think that's one of the main reasons I end up opting for Ecuador here. Yeah, I'm thinking about Colombia, end up going for Ecuador, just 45 kilometers away. So we start off the video with back-to-back insane guesses here. This one is a bit less obvious. We've got some kind of a Catholic shrine in front of this house, definitely a European-looking house. The pole in the background on the left side of the screen does look to be some kind of a concrete kind of Central European pole. I end up going for Slovakia again here, I believe, just because of that pole and the architecture. Okay, so there I go. Ends up being Slovenia, so they're two countries that do have a similar name and similar architecture, all things considered. I continue the seed on just because I'm already on a good score. This one is low cam, so should just be in Japan. Opt for a southern town, and ends up being near Tokyo there. And the final round here I included just because I believe it is another really nice guess. So I just see the bamboo here. So I end up going for Philippines, and I get the right island. So that's why I wanted to include that seed. 3 really nice guesses and 2 average ones. Anyway, here's the next one. We have these kind of barriers which are kind of flat on the edge instead of rounded. I end up going for a quick Serbia here because I know that's a country that uses those a lot, and we get the correct country. Next one here, we have a lot of rocks in the soil, and so I was thinking that this one might be Sicily, just based on the landscape. And look at that, 17 kilometers away. Not really sure. That is like, you have to take all these guesses with a grain of salt. There's a lot of bad guesses that don't make it to the cut, but sometimes you just have a moment of inspiration. You get a crazy guess like that, and it feels super good. Okay, so here's the next one. All these kind of like Buddhist-looking flags, as well as the white buildings in the background, definitely make me lean Bhutan. And also those like concrete blocks that were in front of us, very, very common in Bhutan as well. So can we get a third crazy guess in a row here is the question. Yes, we can. 7.6 kilometers away. I was kind of chuffed about that one, as you can see by the little shake of the screen there. Bhutan, not really my strongest country, despite its small size. Now this one's interesting. Can't exactly remember where I went. Definitely kind of an Eastern European vibe with the houses in the background. Yes. So I remember. I was thinking really between Ukraine and Lithuania here. We see kind of a Soviet-style pole on the left side of the screen. That's why I've kind of moved my webcam out of the way, because there's a lot of details that you can't afford to miss in this map. But anyway, was kind of leaning Lithuania here. Also thought that with this greenness, could still well be possible to be Ukraine, but one of the two, and I just sit here and think for a while. Yes, you can see I was indicating there that it might be Ukraine, and of course it was Ukraine. Okay, so first one here appears to be kind of like an Eswatini, South Africa vibe. We've got like a whole bunch of like planted rows of trees, which you often see on the border there. Ends up being Eswatini, but we pull a very good score, so that's why I decided to continue. We are going for country streaks, of course, but when you get a good score, you do get a little excited on this map because it's so hard when you're just looking at the landscape. So there we go, 47 kilometers away. Was a bit disappointed not to have gotten the country there. Next one, definitely with a Gen 4 feeling kind of Norwegian or Swedish, ends up being Sweden, so not a bad guess there, 4.3, but here's where things get crazy, okay? Next one, clear Lesotho. Because I lost the country streak already, I'm going quickly, 35 kilometers away, just in the center of the country. Then we have a Pharaoh Islands. You can see that's Pharaoh Islands by these like bare hills and the kind of way the houses just line the hills like that. Kind of also looks a little bit like Iceland, but you do get the sense of Faroes once you've seen it a few times. And so I'm looking for the exact right location here. Not exactly sure if I actually managed to find it, but regardless, I get close enough. I know there's a bridge in the distance there you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, so that's why I'm kind of looking for it. End up getting 14 kilometers away, so very clean indeed. Okay, next one. Definitely seems to be like kind of a toss-up between Arge and Mexico. I think there's something about the Gen 4 coverage in Mendoza where it's kind of slightly like overexposed. That's why I decided to go Mendoza here. You can see like the sun is absolutely massive in the sky. It's just like some parts of Gen 4 tend to be like very overexposed anyway. But these poles are Argentinian, if you didn't know. They kind of make like the A shape, and they're made of concrete. And so I was thinking Mendoza. I just had that hunch about it. Not really sure if that's actually a meta or not, just something I've observed myself. Anyway, I go for it, and look at this, 11 kilometers away in Argentina, guys. You like to see a guess like that. So 24,000, there you go. So let's recap that one. We got a decent guess near Eswatini, then we got the kind of average Sweden guess, which was still good in its own right, because I easily could have gone Norway. Then we had the nice guess in Lesotho, 35 kilometers away, and then we're about 17 kilometers away or something in Faroes, and then 11 kilometers away in Arge to cap it off. So a really nice seed there. So we only got a 4-country streak, but just a really nice game, and especially like, yeah, looking at that Sweden, if only I tried a little harder, because that could have been a 24.5 easily, because we dropped 700 points on Sweden alone. Okay, first one, I go for Poland here, 248 kilometers away, very good. Next one definitely feels UAE, just the sandiness of the soil, also the white soil. That kind of run can always be elsewhere, but just feels most likely to be UAE, and it is. Next one's like very, very green and long grass, and Brazil just seems like the optimal choice there. Ends up being right near Paraguay, but yeah. So we're actually off to a flying start here. I'm just guessing as quickly as I can, getting these easy rounds out of the way. And look how quickly we actually make it to 5 here. The Lesotho doesn't really take any thought, neither does that second Brazil. Okay, so moving on to the next one here. We have Japanese number plates, low cam, very green. I was even thinking of this island. I don't think they have Gen 4 over there, but I was thinking of like a southern island just because of how green it looks. Ends up just being on Kochi. Next one, we have like a lot of palms. That's what made me think initially Israel over Tunisia here. I'm looking at it a little harder though, and I do opt for Tunisia, I believe, just because I think the palms may make me think Israel more, but the rest of the round, such as the buildings, didn't. Okay, now we have the little part of the Kenya car here in the bottom of the screen, and so after seeing that, it's an easy send for Kenya here, and I'm already on 8 streaks, so starting to feel pretty good about the streak, and I said to you guys in the last video that I'd get 10 before I continued on the series, and of course, I've made good on that promise. So here's the next one. Definitely feeling Brazilian. We have like a bunch of eucalyptus trees over here, but the soil is kind of red, so that's what made me think it probably wouldn't be Arge, but I clicked near Arge just for good measure. Next up, we have a octagonal pole, which is actually such a great clue for Mexico. Of course, you can find them in other countries, and you can mistake round poles for being octagonal, but when you are so close to one, and it just feels Mexican, then you go for it, and look at that, 88 kilometers away, in what is quite a nice guess, really. And so there we go, 19,000, and we are on a 10 streaks. So we have some snow coverage, and we have these kind of bare trees, pines in the background, and it's rather hilly. And so what I was thinking for this one is, let's run through our options when you have this kind of winter coverage. Italy, Czechia, Bulgaria, possibly a weird Hungary. they were the 4 countries I could really see it being here. So Italy, definitely hilly, has that kind of winter coverage, but only sometimes. A bit of snow coverage in Italy as well, which would help for this round. Then yeah, you have this kind of coverage in Hungary, but Hungary is a bit too flat. And then you have this kind of coverage in Bulgaria. Bulgaria also has a lot of pine trees, so that's why Bulgaria was really my main thought here. But I really thought Czechia or Hungary were quite possible as well, and kind of Italy being kind of the oddball. So that's why I was kind of looking at these countries initially. Okay, I end up deciding to opt for Bulgaria there. It's incorrect. I accidentally cut that off at the end there, but it ends up being incorrect. It was in Czechia, that one. And now I just have a couple of insane guesses, okay? So this one here, we're just looking at an apartment, what appears to be Gen 4 footage, and look how close I end up getting here. We go for Taiwan. I just plonk it in there, and there we go, 35 kilometers away. Very clean indeed. Super happy with that guess. Next one here, we do have double white lines in the center. I end up going straight in for Greece here, very quick guess, and we're 9 kilometers away. That one's for you, Greek boys. There you go, finally, a really nice Greek guess. Could have been any number of countries. Here's another one. We have these kind of rock walls that you often see in Malta, and I just wanted to include this one because I did a nice little bit of work. Ended up opting for the right island, and we're 2.8 kilometers away. Just a really nice guess. Next one here, we got Cornfields Gen 4, and I love going for Romania when I see Cornfields 10 kilometers away. You already know. So, you know, you do get your share of really nice guesses in the meantime. Here's like a little funny sequence of rounds that I had. So this one I immediately thought, with all these eucalyptus trees, but kind of a strange, like tropical-ish climate, I kind of thought you get that kind of thing in Portugal quite a lot. So then I sit back, think about it a while, and I'm like, no, it feels more like New South Wales. There's like a lot of Gen 2 coverage around Nowra here. Nora, I can't remember how to pronounce it, but yeah, it ends up being in southern New South Wales. And the very next round, I wake up to what appears to be Portugal. It's not exactly obvious off the bat, but if you look where I have my cursor now, that is like a section pole, the similar type of style that you see in Brazil, but also, of course, Portugal as well. We send it in and 8.1 kilometers away. So I go from correctly saying that it's not Portugal into getting that it was Portugal, and very, very close indeed. Okay, so here's an interesting little one. See where you guys think this one is. So very green, tropical. What's interesting is that in the background we have a flag flying that seems to be the American flag, but also one with blue on either side. So I was thinking Guatemala. Could this be a Guatemala, you know, kind of like American kind of partnership? The problem is that we have English on the building, and Guatemala, you know, you could see that, but it's really rather more likely that you see Spanish. And I'm going Northern Mariana Islands here, and actually, if you go back here, you can see that it says CNMI, and NMI stands for Northern Mariana Islands. So yeah, I guess that's kind of clear. And so I end up getting a really nice guess. There was actually like 3 minutes of thinking in between there, or like a minute of thinking, but I edited that out. Okay, so here is the streak that everyone is here for, the 12 streak where I almost get the world record. First one, I'm thinking it's just going to be somewhere in South Australia. This is kind of like a distinctive landscape. Ends up being a little further south, which would be expected. It's a bit too green for there. And then we have another Australia, so this is a really nice way to start the streak. And I even get the right area here above Perth. So yeah, when you see those brush plants, really, really common in the Perth area. Here's the next one. We have like some really like drab looking hills. It's definitely a lot of winter coverage here. Kind of depressing looking grass. So I was initially thinking like Arge would be possible, but my main thought here was always Kyrgyzstan. The problem is that like these kind of poplar tree looking like tall trees in the background, you do see those quite a lot of times in Chile and Argentina. So I guess that was one thing that was going through my head. However, with these hills, they're kind of a bit too tall and a bit too cold looking to be over there. That's kind of what I thought. I don't really know. Obviously, there's really high mountains in the Andes as well, but I end up going for Kyrgyzstan here, and ends up being correct. Next one is more of a tough one. We have cacti here. We're also looking at quite a steep curb, that kind of Latin American drainage system on the side that I was kind of alluding to in the last one. So this one really becomes the battle of Peru and Mexico. Of the two, I think these drains are more common in Peru, but of course, we also very commonly see cacti in Mexico. I end up opting for Peru here because of the drain, and also the climate fits a little better. Ends up being near Lima, so fantastic. Next one here is very, very typical Montenegro. There's no rifts or anything to help us, but you definitely see this kind of landscape in Montenegro more often than not. Other possibilities would have been like Albania, maybe a really strange Croatia, but Montenegro just seems to fit the best. And of course, whenever you guess Montenegro, you're close, so we get 22.9, which is really good for Skewed, obviously. We are sitting pretty on a 5-country streak here. Okay, so getting into the next seed, we are on 5 now, so already off to a flying start. This one is a pretty obvious Mexico. We have like Mexican-style poles over there, and we also do have like kind of this dry-ish landscape with the hills in the background. Always making you think of Mexico when it looks like that, and of course it's near Monterrey. Next one, we do have like a bunch of eucalyptus trees directly ahead of us. We also have a church and some African-looking people, so that would definitely, lead us towards somewhere in Africa. And you can see here that the outside lines are white rather than yellow. It's not really something you have to think about too much in normal NMPZ games, but because we can only see half of the road, it makes Kenya the best choice there. Next one has like a very typical Spanish-looking climate, I would say. There's not too many countries that would also look like this. Greece could also fit, but Greece would be more hilly, whereas this is like quite a flat Spanish round. Would be rare to see this in Spain, or in Greece, I mean. So yeah, definitely thinking Greece here more than any other, and even though I'm already on a 7 streak, I'm pretty happy to send it straight away there. Okay, so the next one is a bit of a gimme. For some reason, we're actually pointing at the road, and so we have double yellows in the center and this yellow speed sign. All points to Finland. You wouldn't see those double yellows in Sweden basically ever. Okay, so the next one is not so obvious, but I decided to just immediately go for Thailand here, or at least immediately put my marker down there. There are other possibilities here with the Gen 4, maybe Sri Lanka, maybe Philippines. It would be a weird Indonesia, I feel like, so I just always preferred Thailand here with these rows of trees and this kind of farmland. It definitely strikes me as more Thai than anything else. And yeah, so I'm pretty happy to just go for it here. We end up being 111 kilometers away in the right region, so very nice. We're on a 10-country streak, another 20,000 score, and let us see how it progresses. Okay, so I hit play again, and we are back into the next set. So all we need is 4 more to get onto the record sheets, 3 more to tie the record sheets, and of course 11 more to get the world record. And this one initially looked like a tough round. I was immediately thinking Indonesia, maybe subconsciously taking in that there was an Indonesian flag poking through the leaves here. How very nice of the Indonesians to be so patriotic. So obviously that made life rather easy here. I was always thinking Java, but ends up being all the way near Medan there. So maybe not an easy round as I thought it had been. And then we're on 11, and all of a sudden we're looking at quite a straightforward Australia. Of course, now that we're on 11, so close to the records, I do take my time here. But taking a look at these houses, they do look quite Australian-like. I was definitely saying to the stream at this point, because I was streaming, this either has to be Brisbane, or it has to be either Brisbane or Sydney. I preferred Brisbane just because of all the double-story houses here, but of course Sydney also worked as well. Ends up being Sydney. And then we get to the round that unfortunately ends it all here. So do see what you think about this one, and I'll tell you guys why exactly I got this wrong. So you know what is extra frustrating about this round now? I'll reveal. So I end up going Japan here, and I'm going to tell you why I end up going Japan. But the correct answer is actually South Korea. And looking back on this round, I should have taken more time to think about it. Because look at this metal pole here. This is very typical for South Korea. You often see metal poles just around the place. Much more common than Japan. I can't really remember what they use in Japan too well, but it's not that. I think they probably use timber ones maybe more often. Regardless, that metal one is very common. This kind of metal pole is very common for South Korea. Then also, here's the big kicker. Obviously, South Korea driving right-hand side of the road, Japan driving left-hand side of the road, and we do have here these white reflectors. And so here's the way it works. Here's my logic, okay? In Australia, we drive left-hand side of the road, and as you're driving left, you have the bollards with the red reflectors on the left-hand side of the road, and the bollards with the white reflectors on the right-hand side of the road. So you're driving with the colored ones. This apparently is not actually how it works in the Asian countries with these round little bollards, where when you're driving on the left-hand side of the road, in Japan, you will have the white ones, and then the orange ones on the other side of the road. So I assumed the colored ones would be, the similar logic to how it is in Australia. Unfortunately, what these white ones actually mean is that these are set up for right-hand drive. So that is not something I realized off the bat. then I was just looking at these houses and these hills in the background, felt very Japanese to me. Now the big one is, of course, is this low cam. It actually can be quite hard to tell when you're playing NMPZ to see whether it is actually low cam or not. And yeah, I was just explaining how I thought these bollards should mean it's Japan, and I was so disappointed in myself that it was actually Korea there. So yeah, that was actually not a hard round. I kind of threw it away there. I wonder what the next round would have been. I don't think I actually checked, but I'm sure I could have gotten there, and it's just a little bit of a shame when you throw away such a nice streak up to that point. So guys, I won't make the same mistake again. Next time I'm on 12, I'm gonna go a little bit longer. I think because I was on stream, I'm also trying to like make it good content, and I don't really like it when people sit there and and ah about things for too long. So, you know, that's also trying to be a good entertainer at the same time as being a, you know, pro player, so to speak. But guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed that one. I will get this world record. It's so fun because you don't have to string too many rounds in a row together. It's only 12, and that almost put me on the world record sheets. So guys, do let me know if you want to see more of these. I will definitely be making them, but I just want to know what the demand is. And guys, thank you very much for watching all the way to the end if you did. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and I'll be back with more of these very soon. And in the meantime, also some 100 country streak attempts as well. So then, goodbye till next time, and have a good day.